Awesome. Well, welcome again, everyone. So I'll begin this presentation. My name is Varun Agarwal, and I'm here with my colleague, Pranshul Sardana. Both of us are part of a engineering undergraduate research office at Purdue University. And I think today's session will be focusing on one of the fellowships which our office has, and it's called Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship, short for SURF. And a very interesting year this is because we are celebrating our 20 years at Purdue. So this presentation essentially will have two big parts. The first part is going to talk about what is SURF, right? And the next part, we're going to talk about how to apply for SURF and what is the whole procedure, how the application looks, what you should do before doing the application, and what is to be done in the application, and when to expect those results, application results. So again, to reiterate, SURF program stands for Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship, right? And the idea is very simple. Through this fellowship, we want to provide a platform for undergraduate students to experience research at Purdue, right? This helps basically to decide what career path they're going to choose. It could be a research career, or it could be in advanced education, for example, right? So during the application process, what you'll see is a bunch of different projects, and then you get to apply to some of those. And this application basically will be dependent on what interests you in research, what's something you want to explore as an undergraduate, what research area interests you is really important, you know. And once you are in this program, it's a 10-week long program, right? For this program, you're also compensated $5,100, and this is expected to increase this year, but don't take my word for it as of now. One important thing I would like to iterate here is this SURF fellowship is not available for credit. And another thing is you cannot repeat it at Purdue. What I mean by that is if you were a SURF fellow at Purdue in 2019, for example, you cannot do it again in 2020. Although you're welcome to have a SURF, you can be a SURF fellow in some other university because this is run all around the US in different universities. So moving forward, let me answer the question, why or what does SURF actually provide you? Simply stating, it's a research experience, right? Which helps you build your professional identity. Like, for example, when a student first comes into this program, some students don't even have a clue of what is research. How do you do research, right? And in addition to that, how do you work in a research setting, for example? How do you communicate with people around you who are doing research? It could be your peers, it could be your faculty. It will be a platform where you'll be in this program with a lot more students, for example, and you'll be in a research lab, which will have a bunch of graduate students. You can talk to them about what their research experience is, you know? So this will really help you have a clear sight. And I think at this point, I'd like to give an example of what I did as an undergraduate. As an undergraduate, I had a similar opportunity. And before that opportunity, I always had this conception in my mind where I wasn't sure if I want to go into, for example, industry, or do I want to go into academia to pursue research? And during my research fellowship as an undergrad in summer, that was the single most important experience which make me, you know, go towards research and become a graduate student as I am right now. You know, so having that clarity is something you can expect out of this fellowship. In addition, it would be a great resume builder, and I cannot emphasize this enough. When you're applying to a graduate school, if you have any experience in a professional program like this, that gives you an edge over the other applicants. Professor is looking at your application and like, oh, the student has prior experience. They know what research is like. You will get an edge, right? Similarly, whether you're applying for grad school or if you're applying for national lab, this research experience will count, right? And during this program, as I already said, it will be like a mini research project where you will learn how to do literature review, all the way from literature review all the way up to actually presenting it in a professional symposium at Purdue. So it's a very contained and interesting program. To give you some numbers, in SURF 2022, we had around 1,268 applications, and out of which we selected 193. So about 15% application rate. And there were multiple themes. Some of the popular themes were composites and structural materials, cellular biology, machine learning, human factors, nanotechnology, and more. To actually get to know what past projects have looked like or what students have applied to or were selected for this project, we have this link right here under past projects. Also, there's a QR code. Feel free to scan that. That takes you directly to this website. It will contain a list of different projects which have happened at SURF in the past. Now coming to the eligibility, who is eligible to apply to SURF? Very simple checklist, and if you fill all of these, then you are ready to apply. First being, as I already said in this presentation, you cannot apply to SURF researcher at Purdue twice, right? Other being, you need to be a full-time enrolled student at Purdue or any other US institution that in a bachelor's degree. Now that's important. Then the other thing is, you should continue to be an undergraduate after SURF program. What that essentially means, for example, if you're applying for summer 2023 research fellowship, you should be a student in fall 2023. So if you graduate in spring 2023, you won't be eligible for this. And then we have a minimum GPA requirement of 2.8. So that's another thing to keep in mind. About the upcoming fellowship program. So the application window for you will open starting 10th January and ends 15th February. So that's around a month's period. This program runs from May 23rd to August 2nd. At the very end of this program, we will have a symposium too, which will be held in July 28th and 29th, where you get to present your research, your summer research in front of Purdue University's colleagues and students. And then we have an award reception as well, which will be held on August 2nd, where we'll be giving out awards for outstanding students and first-time researchers who excelled during the summer fellowship. Once you have filled in your application, we'll start reviewing it, and this procedure goes on for about a month. And we expect to send out these offer letters end of March and beginning of April. Now, I think that was all for a brief overview of what SURF is all about. If you have any questions right now, it will be, please feel free to. I think, are we using chat, Lexi, or? I think you're muted, Lexi.
Yes, we can use the chat, and you can also raise your hand if you want to talk.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing at this moment, we can probably continue with the other part, half of the presentation. Anshul, you want to take over?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Varun, for your presentation. And thanks a lot, Lexi, for inviting us. So I would like to give a shout out to Jalen. He was in SURF cohort this year, and he can tell you a lot more about what he learned during the summer and what was his experience like. Right? So before we start with my section, I want to provide a clarification that prior experience is not a must for SURF. You may not have SURF experience. So just to give you a rough number, a quarter of our cohort is either freshmen or sophomores, and they are early enough in their academic career that they don't have a lot of experience. So if experience is one thing that's stopping you from applying to SURF, please don't do that. And towards the end, I can give you some tips on how to make a successful SURF application. And these are the kind of questions that you would want to ask as well. Like, if you want to do research this summer during SURF, this is one of the right times to ask us about how to get a SURF position. So next slide, please, Varun. So before you submit your application, it's very similar to other application portals that you do, that before you actually submit your application, you have to make sure that you have a couple of other documents in line. So the three important documents we require is your resume or CV, doesn't matter a lot, a letter of interest, and unofficial transcript. So a resume is, or a CV, I will assume that most of you will know about it. It's a document that talks about your education and your experiences and the skills you have and so on. And if you need more clarification for that, please let me know. I'll be happy to provide you more details about it. So the third part is unofficial transcripts, and I'll come to the letter of interest in a minute. So the unofficial transcripts can be downloaded very easily from my Purdue. So if you log in there, and I believe it will be under transcript, and if you can't find it there, your academic advisor can guide you very easily. And the second component here is the letter of interest. And this is a bit targeted email that has nothing to do with your, that's not directly related with your past experiences. So a letter of interest is a document, is a letter that you write to the faculty members. So when you log into the SURF portal, you will see 150, 200 projects, and you have to choose top 3 projects out of these, right? Now you want to tell a faculty member why you're applying for their particular project, like why you are even interested in this project, what kind of experience that you have, what kind of things you want to learn. So what will you gain from your summer experience? And this is one of those big components that can really make your application stand out. And there are a couple of more things that will make your application stand out. Right. So right now the SURF portal is closed, but in early January it will open, and then you can go to the website, and you will basically see a list of projects there, like around 4th January or 10th January. Yeah. Next slide, please. Next, please. So once you make your application material, you submit your SURF application in time, your journey is not done. So the most successful SURF accepted students, one thing that they do, or the most frequent thing they do, is talk to the faculty members. You have to remember that it's not our office who's making the selection of the students, but it's the professors themselves. Professors want to make sure that they talk to the students who will work with them for the next 10, 11 weeks. They want to know you, they want to know your past work, they want to know about like the things you want to do, somewhat similar to letter of interest, but they also want to see if you're a team player. Can you work with the grad students? Can you work with the faculty member itself? Right? Can you iterate your work when it is required, and so on? So the best advice I can give you, if you take away, like it's one of the top 3 takeaways for today's presentation. If you want to get accepted for SURF, talk to the faculty members. And we understand it's very hard to reach out to faculty members in a lot of cases. So the next best thing are their grad students. So and a list of faculty members and their grad students will be on the SURF portal. So the other thing is that SURF portal can be a bit trickier than a lot of other portals, in a sense that faculty do not wait till the very last day to make their selection. And it's somewhat of a rolling admit. So some faculty members will accept their students early on in the process. So the application window for SURF will open from 10th January till 15th February. And the faculty members might want to make their selection on 20th January, like 20 days before the deadline. So in order to give everyone a fair chance, we take down those projects for which faculty has already made their selection. So let's say you submitted 3 projects, or you are interested in 3 projects, and 2 of these projects are taken down. You want to make sure that you log into the portal again and tune in your choices before the deadline. So you have to be a bit more active in looking at the portal every week or every 2 weeks, just to make sure that the things you applied for are still available. So next slide, please. And I can talk about more clarifications if you want. So applying for the projects is not the only way of getting into SURF. So typically SURF is a program where faculty hires you, but you can also hire faculty to hire you in a way that you don't have to wait for a faculty member to submit a project, right? If you're already working in a lab and you want to be a SURF student, or even if you're not working in a lab, let's say you want to join a lab for the summer, the best thing we can advise is that talk to the faculty members and encourage them to submit a SURF project, right? Sometimes the faculty members might be very busy and they might miss the application window for them. So they have an application window where they submit their applications for SURF, they submit their projects for SURF. So if the faculty members miss that window, you can also initiate a project for them and they have to confirm, and there is a logistical process for them. This easier than starting a new project, right? But if you don't see a project, and if a faculty member says that, yes, I can post up or we can have a SURF project, then you can initiate that process as well. Next slide, please. So there are a couple of tips and a couple of guidelines as well. So I saw in the chat as well, the weekly commitment for SURF is 40 hours. And with research, 40 hours are, it's not very well documented. I can promise you towards the end of the summer, you might end up spending 50 hours in the lab. It's just because there are a lot of things going on. So for most of the summer, I would say for 8 good weeks, it's around 40 hours, maybe for 9 weeks is 40 hours, but there will be 1 week where it will be maybe 50 hours, maybe more, right? It's because towards the end of the program, you have to wind up a lot of things and you have to present at a symposium, and all that work can wind up if your week is not well planned. And there are ways to avoid it, and we can go over it if you guys want, but it's not very important right now. So the other important thing for SURF is that you should submit all your assignments on time. So SURF is not just about doing research. It's about finding out if research is the right thing for you. And in order to find that out, you want to make sure that you can do, or you know about what kind of activities do grad students do, what kind of activities do postdocs do, right? It's a lot of activities, and generally for a grad student or a postdoc, it takes more than a year to do all those things. But we want to introduce to every single topic. So we have multiple assignments in those 10 weeks. That's supposed to replicate a 1-year scenario, but on a smaller scale, right? But you will go through different parts of a research cycle. At the start of the SURF, you will do a literature review, where you will go through the literature and see what other people have done even before you start working. Because when you work, you want to make sure that you are creating something new. You're creating something important for the domain that has not been created so far, right? And you can only know that once you do literature review. So once literature review is done, you conduct your experiments, and towards the end of the summer, you present your work, you present the things you have done in the last 10 weeks in front of the SURF cohort and some external members. And there are some other requirements, like you produce a technical paper and so on. Next slide, please. So we'll go to the questions, or we can have some questions now.
Yeah, I've got a question. So how is the summer research program different from the year-round research you do during the normal school time session?
Yeah, great question, Lexi. Thanks. So there are multiple summer research programs. Here, I'm gonna just talk about SURF program because this is what we offer and we know the most about. So unlike the school year where you take courses and do research in a lab for X number of hours, SURF is supposed to be a dedicated research program. It's an introduction to life of a grad student. Like, how do you do research? So one big factor is the time commitment. Like instead of 5 to 10 hours, it's around 40 hours. The second big difference is the stipend you get. If you work like throughout the year, you might work for credit or you might get paid hourly, right? So SURF gives you, it might end up giving you 6,000 this year. So it's $6,000 for those 10 weeks. And during the year, it's typically lower. And there are a lot of professional development seminars because we want to introduce the SURF cohort members about life in a research lab and life in a national lab and life in industry and life in grad school. So we want to introduce them to different pathways. So our workshops also make us different as compared to the school year.
Nice. Thank you for the answer.
More questions?
I've got one. So how does the summer research tie with industry research? Is there a relationship between the summer research program and then the kind of work you do in industry? Is there a connect?
So SURF it can be unique for it can be very unique for an individual. A lot of our projects are NSF funded, and SURF staff is not involved in that. It's the faculty who post their project. So a faculty member can have a industry funded project, or they may have a NSF funded project, right? If the project is industry funded, then it might look closer to an industrial research, like research done in industry, but it's very case dependent.
Okay, great. Yeah, one last question. So say the student already applied for the summer research program. So what do you recommend the person does while waiting? You mentioned reaching out to faculty, right? So what else can the student do?
Reach out to the grad students. Like, if you want to get accepted for the summer program, talk to the faculty members and their lab members. Like, that's the only way to ensure that you will be in the lab. Right? And not even ensure, I would say that's the only way to maximize your chances. 10 different students might be contacting the faculty members, so you want to make sure that you stand out. So, for example, this summer I had students in my lab, and I interviewed some students, and one of them was interested in grad school, and they wanted to. They still were exploring if with research, without research, is an option for them. So they were clear about some things, but they were not clear about some other, which was totally fine. It's all of us. But there was another student who was like, I have applied to 20 internships and SURF is a backup. And I was like, I'm not gonna hire like this person in my lab because I'm a backup for them. So
Okay.
if you are genuinely interested in a lab, go talk to the people.
Great. Thank you so much. So any other question? Yeah, I think you can go on with the presentation. They'll ask questions later.
So yeah, if you want to know more details about applying to the SURF fellowship the coming summer, we have an event dedicated for it. It's called Nuts and Bolts of SURF application. So it will be a more elaborated version of this slide deck, and we can answer more questions there. One good thing is that we have multiple events that are closer to the application cycle. So you might already be reaching out to faculty members, and you might already want to know what projects might be there in the coming year. And we'll be able to answer those questions better in another month. And SURF applications open in early January. It's January 10th, but you might be able to see it around January 5th. I'm not sure about that. Next slide, please. And if you need help with finding research opportunities during the semester, or if you want to do research during the summer, feel free to use our office hours. So office hours are the most underutilized resources on campus. We are available 4 days a week. Right now we are understaffed, else we would be available every single week. So our office hours are written here, and you can also find these on the website. which you can go to by scanning the QR or the link on the top. Yeah, our office is in Potter 136 till 15th November. We are we will change offices in that week. But if you email us, we can give you more information about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
Thanks.
the office hours, everything, because most of our undergrads here are from different universities across the US. The office hours are going to be virtual, correct? Or
Yes, so we can make virtual office hours. So if you want to talk to us via Zoom, shoot us an email at eur@purdue.edu. I'm just going to write it in the chat. Oh, do we have it here, Varun? And we one of us or the director, someone will make time for you if you shoot us
awesome.
an email.
Thank you so much. So there's one question in the chat. How competitive is the SURF program and how many applicants typically apply?
So if you look at raw numbers, SURF has a 15% acceptance rate. But honestly, if you're talking to the faculty members and their grad students, your acceptance rate goes to 90%. If you're not talking to them, it goes below 10%, maybe 5%. Right? So these are some numbers we can't directly put on the slides, but if you talk to us, we can tell you what the reality is. Right? And if you are already in the Purdue network, you have this access through GradTrack, right? You can tell professors that you are already participating in GradTrack. You're already looking at Purdue as an option for grad school, for example, right? Or as an option for you. So they might be more inclined in hiring you because you already want to get into the system.
Thank you so much. So are there any questions? Anyone's got any bugging questions you want to ask? All right. I'll assume everybody understands the bolts and nuts of serve now. So thank you so much, Varun and Pranshu, for coming over. This was really, really enlightening. I'm sure the mentees actually learned a couple of things. I also did learn a couple of things from this. So thank you for coming over. Thank you for presenting. Thank you for sharing. A big round of applause for them. Virtual round of applause.
Thank you so much. And thanks for inviting.
All right.
And as always, feel free to reach out to us, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So they've got your email, so they're going to bug you.
Great.
All right.
All right. See you, everyone.
All right. Bye.
See you, everyone. Bye.
Okay, so I'll just wrap this up by. Okay. Right. So we're done with this part, right? I'm going to just talk about the assignment for the next week and wrap up the session. So after that, you can just go into your different circles and talk about the game plan for applying for your summer research programs and how to be competitive and how to reach out to faculty. So for this coming week, our next meeting is on the 7th of November, right? So we sent out a mid-semester survey where we asked you to pick a number of topics you would like to hear something about. So next week will be a speed advice session from your different mentors about the different topics you already picked up. So they're going to be talking about their experience at Purdue and some information about things you need to know if you're thinking about graduate school and things like that. So that's something you should look out for. And then some of the things that are due next week. So you need to, okay, this is mostly for the grad students that are currently doing the GDVP. So they have to send follow-up emails. And for the 2024 graduates, people that are currently here now, so confirm the deadlines for summer research applications. So for SURF, which is for Purdue, like they already said, Pranshu said it was on January. So you should look out for that application and then look out for other school some summer research programs, not just Purdue. I mean, the schools you're interested in as well. So check out for their deadlines and check that out. And also you need to watch the video for our next meeting that's about failure in graduate school. So please watch that video. I'll send a follow-up email tomorrow. So for our mentors, I sent out an email with the list of 2 documents that you should fill out details of the topics you want to be talking about. So we've selected the topics that the mentees are interested in. So you need to pick one topic which you will be presenting on, either on the 7th of November or 14th of November. So we'd have 13 mentors presenting on 13 different topics. So it's going to be a speech session. And then also remember to review your mentee documents. Mentees also poke your mentors if you haven't received big feedbacks for your essays, your CVs and resumes. And also attend your one-on-one meetings. Please fill in the Qualtrics survey with the meetings you attend with your mentees. Also, the mentors social is going to be at Bryant on the 17th of November. Please mark your calendar for that between 6 and 8 p.m. So that's about it for the for this session, right? So